When it comes to a second residency, speed is always your friend. Panama approved over 3,200 friendly nations visas in 2024 alone, one of the most popular residency programs, and applications across all pathways continue surging. Don't wait to secure your residency. The Panamanian government has made significant changes recently which make the application process much more strict, and that trend has spread worldwide. There's a reason smart expats are rushing to lock in their status before potential program changes continue in 2026. But here's what almost no one is telling you. Panama works brilliantly for some people and fails miserably for others, and the difference comes down to matching the right visa program to your specific situation. I'm Brad with Evolution Expats. I got my Panamanian residency over 6 years ago under the Friendly Nations program, and I spent part of my year in Panama while running my business helping clients obtain visas and citizenships worldwide. I've watched this country evolve, I've seen the programs change, and I've guided hundreds of clients through the decision of whether Panama is right for them. Stay tuned, because later in this video I'm breaking down the three main pathways to Panamanian residency, one which actually makes sense for your circumstances, and the documents you need to start preparing today, even if you're not ready to move just yet. Plus, I'll show you real budgets from three different types of expats actually living here. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button. Panama's immigration policies, tax treaties, and visa requirements are evolving rapidly, and you need current intelligence to make smart decisions about your international mobility. And leave a like so the content that I make for you gets sent to you. So, why is Panama seeing record interest in residency programs right now? Three big reasons. First, the US dollar is Panama's currency. No exchange rate risk, no currency devaluation eating at your savings. Second, Panama operates on a territorial tax system, which means even if you earn your income outside of Panama, you don't pay Panamanian tax on it. That's huge for retirees with pensions, remote workers with US or European clients, and anyone with investment income. Third, geographic positioning. Panama is 2 hours from Miami, 4 hours from New York, with direct flights to dozens of international destinations. You're not isolated here. But here's the strategic piece most people miss. Residency programs don't stay the same forever. I got my Friendly Nations residency 6 years ago under requirements that no longer exist. Portugal just changed their golden visa program. Ecuador closed, then reopened their investor visa with different rules. When programs become popular, governments tighten them. It's not fear-mongering, that's just a historical pattern. So if Panama is on your radar, understanding your options now matters. Let me also position this quickly against other popular destinations. Portugal is cooling down with higher investment thresholds and tax changes. Costa Rica is beautiful but 20 to 30% more expensive across the board. Panama gives you that combination of favorable programs, lower cost, US dollar stability, and territorial taxation that is hard to match elsewhere going into 2026. Now, let's talk about the three visa pathways that matter most, because this is where the magic happens or where people make expensive mistakes. First for retirees, then the solo applicant path that I used, and finally a married couple using the investment route. First, the pensionado visa. This is the retiree favorite for a reason. You need a guaranteed lifetime pension of at least $1,000 per month. That can be US Social Security, a government pension, a private pension, as long as it's guaranteed and verifiable. Once you qualify, you unlock incredible discounts that actually save you real money every month. 25% off restaurant bills, 20% off medical consultations and prescriptions, 50% off entertainment, hotels on weeknights, and domestic flights, even 15% off hospital bills if you're paying out of pocket. These aren't tourist gimmicks, these are legal discounts that pensionado visa holders use every day. Let me give you a real example. James and Patricia came to me a few years ago, both 67 years old. James has a US federal pension of approximately $2,400 per month, comfortably above the minimum. They use that to qualify for the pensionado visa, and here's how they're exactly living. Their primary motivation was stretching their retirement savings and securing access to top quality healthcare. Both of them have minor pre-existing conditions, high blood pressure, cholesterol management, nothing extreme, but enough so that healthcare access mattered. They specifically chose to live in a suburb close to Panama City because of the proximity to hospitals in Punta Pacifica. The hospital is a Joint Commission accredited hospital, the same standards as top US hospitals, so they have no issue there, and their specialist costs 50 to 70% less than in Florida, their home state. James and Patricia live on about $2,600 to $2,800 per month in total. That includes rent, groceries, utilities, entertainment, healthcare, everything. The pensionado discount saved them about $300 to $400 monthly. Their quality of life is equal to or better than what they had in the US on twice the budget. The healthcare access is actually superior to the small panhandle town that they came from. That's who the Pensionado program is built for. So, who should skip it? If you're under 50 and you don't have a lifetime pension, you don't qualify. If you're not actually retiring and want to work or run a small business actively in Panama, this isn't your path. As simple as that. Now, the second pathway, the Friendly Nations visa. This is what I used over 6 years ago, but it's changed. Back then, the requirements were more flexible and the economic ties component was easier to satisfy. Today, you need to be a citizen of one of the 50 approved countries that include the United States, Panama, most of Europe, Australia, and several others. You need to demonstrate economic ties to Panama, which typically means opening a Panamanian company or getting employed by a Panamanian entity, and you need to deposit $5,000 in a Panamanian bank account that stays there during your application process, then it is returned to you. When I relocated to Panama to run Evolution Expats, this was my pathway. I'm a single entrepreneur spending part of my year here, part of it traveling for business. The economic ties requirement was easier than I expected because I set up my consulting business with a Panamanian structure. The $5,000 deposit wasn't a cost. It's still my money and still in my account. It's just required to be there. My monthly budget runs about $2,200 to $2,500, and that gives me a comfortable lifestyle. Nice apartment in a good area, reliable internet for running my business internationally, eating out regularly, a social life, everything that I need. Now, you may have read that there is a little bit of discussion on exactly what qualifies for the current requirements for this program, which is one of the reasons why we want to make sure that we consult the latest information at the time of our application. Now, here's what's changed and what's mattered for you. The approval process got slightly more rigorous in 2024. They're scrutinizing the economic ties more carefully. Some applicants are being asked for additional documentation. It's not dramatically harder, but it's not the rubber stamp that it was 5 years ago. The timeline has also stretched a bit. Expect 6 to 10 months versus the 3 to 4 months that you used to take. So, who is the Friendly Nations visa perfect for? It's perfect for digital nomads with stable remote income or entrepreneurs who can set up a business structure. Young professionals who want permanent residency with a pathway to citizenship eventually. People who want flexibility. And then, of course, none of this locks you into retirement mode. Now, who should look elsewhere? If you can't meet the economic ties requirement or don't want to deal with setting up a company structure, this might not be worth it for you. If you're retired and you qualify for the Pensionado, that would probably be the better path for you. The third pathway, the Permanent Resident Permit, often called the PRP or the Qualified Investor Visa. This requires a significant investment, typically $300,000 in Panamanian real estate or $200,000 in fixed-term bank deposits or other approved economic activities. The benefit is immediate residency, no temporary status, no waiting period. You're permanent from day one, and you're eligible to apply for citizenship in just 5 years versus the 7 to 9 year path with other visas. Now, after discussing their options, the Martinez family went with this route. He's 38, works in tech remotely. She's 35, runs a marketing consultancy. 2 kids, aged 6 and 9. They wanted immediate permanent status because they were enrolling their kids in international school and needed stability. They bought a property in Panama near a good school district, met the $300,000 investment threshold for the real estate option, and got permanent residency within a few months. Their budget runs about $3,500 to $4,000 per month. That includes private international school for both children at about $1,200 monthly combined, HOA fees and property costs, groceries for 4, health insurance for the family, extracurriculars for the kids. They're living a comfortable middle-class life compared to what they had in the United States, but their housing cost is 40% less, and their overall expenses are down about 30% even with private school. The PRP is perfect for families who want immediate stability, people with capital to invest, and those who want the fastest path to citizenship. It's not for people on a tight budget or those who don't have the investment capital to deploy. A quick mention, there are 2 other pathways. The professional work permit if you're employed by a Panamanian company in a role that requires a specific expertise that you possess, and of course marriage or family unity if you're married to a Panamanian citizen. Both exist, both work, but the 3 I covered above are what most expatriates use. Now, let's talk about the living reality, because visa programs are step 1, but the day-to-day life is what determines if you thrive or if you tap out. Healthcare is a big draw for Panama, especially for retirees. You have 2 systems, public and private. The public system through Caja de Seguro Social, or CSS, is low cost, but quality varies significantly. In Panama City, public hospitals are decent. In rural areas, you're looking at longer waits and more limited services. Most expats opt for private healthcare, which is where Panama shines. Hospital Punta Pacifica in Panama City, Hospital San Fernando, these are world-class facilities, Joint Commission accredited. Many of the doctors trained in the United States, but procedures still cost 30 to 50% of what US prices are. A knee replacement that's $40,000 in the US, 12 to 15,000 in Panama. An MRI that's $2,000 in the US, $400 to $600 here. Routine doctor visits are $25 to $50 without insurance. This is exactly why James and Patricia chose this as their location. They didn't chase the beach, they didn't go to Boquete for the mountain climate. They stayed close to Panama City because when you're 67 with pre-existing conditions, access to top-tier specialists matters more than scenic views. They use the Pensionado discount for routine visits, and they have international health insurance for major procedures. Here's the insurance strategy that works. If you're under 65, international insurance through providers like Cigna Global or Alliance runs about $150 to $300 per month depending on coverage. If you're over 65 or have pre-existing conditions, you might pay $400 to $600 monthly, but you're still saving massively compared to US healthcare costs. Many expats self-insure for routine care and keep catastrophic coverage for emergencies. Now, the cost and taxes. This is what people really want to know. Can you actually live well on less in Panama? And the answer is yes, but it depends on your lifestyle and your location. My budget as a single professional, I spend about $2,200 to $2,500 per month. Rent for a solid one-bedroom apartment in a good area of Panama City, about $800 to $1,100 depending on exactly where. Utilities, including high-speed internet for running my business, about $150 to $200. Groceries for one, about $300 to $400. Imported items, of course, cost more. Local items are cheap. Eating out regularly, entertainment, social activities, transportation, another $400 to $500. Healthcare costs are minimal because I'm healthy, but I do keep insurance. The Martinez family spends $3,800 monthly. They rented before they bought, and it was about $1,600 for a 3-bedroom in a family-friendly area. Groceries for 4, about $700. Utilities, including internet, $200. The big expense, private international school at $1,200 for both kids. Healthcare for the family of 4, about $200 in insurance premiums, plus routine visits. Entertainment for an entire family, including children, another $300 to $400. James and Patricia, $2,600 in total. Their rent is $700 for a comfortable 2-bedroom. They're not in the most expensive area. Their utilities are about $120, with groceries for 2 about $450. They eat out often using the Pensionado discount. Their healthcare costs, including insurance and routine visits, may be $300 per month. Entertainment and transportation, everything else, another $400 to $500. They're living comfortably, traveling domestically, enjoying life, and not stressing about money. But here's what surprises people about costs. Imported goods are expensive. Electronics, certain food, brand name items. If you must have US products exclusively for your grocery bill, it will go up. Local produce, meats, the staples, very cheap. Dining out ranges wildly. Local restaurants, $5 to $10 per person. Expat hangouts or upscale places, $20 to $40. Transportation is affordable, gas is subsidized, taxis and Ubers are cheap, usually about $5 per trip in Panama City. Now, the territorial tax advantage. This is massive for the right people. Panama doesn't tax income earned outside of its borders. If you're a retiree with a US pension, it's not taxed in Panama. If you're a remote worker with clients outside of Panama, it's not taxed in Panama. If you have investment income from US stocks, not taxed in Panama. Income you earn from Panamanian sources or from working inside Panama, that gets taxed at local rates up to about 25%. Now for US citizens, you're still filing with the IRS. Panama's territorial tax system doesn't eliminate your US tax obligations, but you can use the foreign earned income tax exclusion and foreign tax credits strategically. Many US expats pay 0 or very close to 0 US tax as well, especially if they're under the earned income exclusion threshold. The double benefit is real for people who structure correctly. James and Patricia save thousands annually because his federal pension isn't taxed by Panama and their Social Security is excluded from most taxation. For remote workers like the Martinez couple, they're paying US tax only on their business income and using exclusions to minimize it. I run Evolution Expats internationally, so my tax structure is optimized around territorial advantages as well. This is where working with an international tax advisor before you move pays for itself 10 times over. Now, the language reality. Spanish is the dominant language in Panama. English penetration is better in Panama than many Latin American countries, but it's not universal. In Panama City, expat-heavy areas like Casco Viejo or Punta Pacifica, you'll find English speakers easily. In the business districts, banks, hospitals, no problem. When you venture into local neighborhoods, smaller towns, or rural areas, you'll need to speak a little bit of Spanish. Even after 6 years, I'm still improving my Spanish because it matters in ways you don't expect. Dealing with government offices, getting better prices at local markets, building relationships with neighbors, handling any issue that requires calling customer service. I could survive on English alone, but I'd be limiting my experience and paying an expat tax on everything. The Martinez kids are in a bilingual international school and they're picking up Spanish faster than their parents. That's an advantage for families. Kids adapt linguistically in ways adults struggle with. James and Patricia hired a tutor for 2 hours a week and they're functional, but not yet fluent. They get by, but they'd tell you learning Spanish would have been easier if they had been a little bit younger. Now, banking. That's something that US citizens need to understand before moving. The FACTA reporting requirements mean that many Panamanian banks are hesitant to take US clients. It's not impossible, but it does require more paperwork. When I set up my Banking for Evolution expats, I had to shop around. Multibank and Banco General are generally US friendly. You'll need your residency documents, your passport, proof of income, and some patience. For non-US citizens, banking is straightforward. Europeans, Canadians, others, no issues. You set up your account, you get your debit card, you're operational. The bigger consideration is managing your finances across the borders. Many expats keep some money in their home country and some in Panama. Now, TransferWise, or currently called Wise, is helpful for moving money internationally without bank fees eating you alive. Next, infrastructure. This varies dramatically by location. Panama City is genuinely first world. Modern highways, a modern metro system, reliable utilities, and a fast internet. I run my entire international business from here with zero connectivity issues. I get 50 to 100 megabits per second consistently for internet speed, which handles all of my video calls, cloud access, everything. If you were to move to Boquete or Bocas del Toro, it's more variable. Internet exists, but you might get some slowdowns, and roads outside the city can be a little bit rough. In rural areas, you're looking at a little bit of infrastructure challenge. The Martinez family stays in Panama City partly because of the reliable internet, which is non-negotiable for the remote work. If you're retiring and don't need necessarily high-speed connectivity, you have more location flexibility. Then there's safety. Now, safety is neighborhood dependent. Panama's homicide rate is 10 to 12 per 100,000, which is actually lower than many US cities. Expat-heavy areas like Coronado and Boquete, parts of Panama City, are very safe. James and Patricia feel safer in their Panama suburb than they did in the United States. The Martinez family is comfortable letting their kids play outside in their neighborhood, which they wouldn't have done as much in their previous US location. I've never felt unsafe at all in the 6 years, and I'm also not wandering around at 2 in the morning. Street smarts matter everywhere you go. Then there's climate. This is a love it or leave it kind of place. Panama is tropical, warm to hot year-round, 75 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity can be intense, especially during the rainy season from May to November. The advantage? Not much in the way of hurricanes. Panama sits outside of the hurricane belt. Occasionally tropical storms, but devastating hurricanes like the Caribbean gets, Panama doesn't see those. You also have microclimates. Panama City is hot and humid, but Boquete up in the mountains is almost 10 to 15 degrees cooler, almost spring-like. Bocas del Toro is Caribbean tropical. If you hate heat and humidity, mountain areas do exist. If you love the beach weather, then you'll have that. The flexibility is there if you plan for it. Now, James and Patricia chose to trade perfect weather for healthcare access. They deal with a bit of humidity because the hospital proximity mattered more to them. The Martinez family loves the tropical climate and their kids are outdoors constantly. I split my time partly because I like the temperature variety, and I'm very comfortable in the various climates in Panama. So, who actually thrives in Panama versus who struggles? This is the key question. You'll thrive if you're a retiree with a stable pension looking to stretch your money and access to affordable healthcare. Digital nomads and remote workers with a USD income who value tax efficiency and flexibility. Families willing to embrace cultural differences and who prioritize international exposure for their kids. Entrepreneurs running international businesses who want a stable base with a good connectivity and tax advantages. People who are culturally flexible and willing to learn Spanish and don't expect everything to work exactly like it would back in their home country. These are the people that will get the most out of a move to Panama. Now, you will struggle if you expect US level everything everywhere. If you refuse to learn to speak Spanish, you won't adapt to the cultural differences. If you need highly specialized medical care that's only available in major US medical centers, that may not be available in Panama. Or if you're on an extremely tight budget without flexibility for unexpected costs. And then, of course, if you hate tropical weather and high humidity with no escape. So if you're moving to run from problems rather than moving towards opportunities, you might have a little bit of trouble in Panama. Now, the Martinez's kids, they're thriving because mom and dad embrace the cultural adjustment. They're not trying to recreate suburban America in Panama. They're living in Panama on Panama's terms. James and Patricia are loving life because they prioritize what actually mattered to them: healthcare access and financial stability over chasing a beach fantasy. I'm here because Panama serves my business model and lifestyle and offers air travel to all of North and South America with reasonable length flights. Here's our advice at Evolution Expats based on seeing hundreds of people go through the process. First, match the visa program to your actual situation. This is the biggest mistake people make. They chase the visa that sounds the easiest or the cheapest, without considering which one actually serves their long-term goals. Pensionado if you qualify and you're retiring. Friendly nations if you're a working age and you can establish economic ties. The PRP if you have capital and want an immediate presence. Don't force yourself into the wrong category. Second, start document preparation now, even if you're not ready to move. Apostille birth certificates, FBI background checks. These things take time and they do expire. If you wait until you're ready to move to start gathering documents, you're going to add months to your timeline. Get them prepared, get them translated if needed, and have them ready. Third, visit Panama before committing. But don't visit like a tourist. Visit like you're moving. Spend time in the neighborhoods where you'd actually consider living. Visit the hospitals if healthcare matters to you. Check out the schools if you have kids. Talk to expats who have been here for a while. Go to the government offices and get a feel for the bureaucracy. See Panama during the rainy season, not just the sunny season. Your reconnaissance trip is an investment that pays off. Fourth, build your financial infrastructure before you move. Open your Panamanian bank account as early as you can. Understand how you will move money internationally. Set up your tax strategy with an advisor who understands both your home country and Panama. Talk to an accountant before you move, not after. Fifth, have realistic expectations and a backup plan. No country is perfect. Panama has incredible advantages and real frustrations. Go in with your eyes opened, and if possible, don't burn bridges in your home country. If you have property, keep it. Keep your bank accounts open. Maintain the option to return if Panama doesn't work out for you. Expats who thrive usually have the most flexibility. Those who struggle burn their ships and trap themselves. Look, Panama offers exceptional advantages. Territorial taxation that saves you thousands annually, US dollar currency eliminating exchange rate risk, and multiple visa pathways for different life situations. They have a highly affordable healthcare and a lower cost of living without sacrificing modern amenities. And they have a strategic geographic location. But paradise is not paradise for everyone. The expats who thrive here did their homework. They chose the right visa program for their situation, they prepared properly, they learned Spanish, they adapted culturally. They approach Panama as an opportunity, not as an escape. The ones who struggle, and I've seen a few, usually make predictable mistakes. The wrong visa, no preparation, unrealistic expectations, a refusal to adapt. Those mistakes are expensive, but they're also avoidable. This is actually why we do deep dive consultations at Evolution Expats. There are multiple residency pathways, each with different requirements, timelines, costs, and implications for your taxes, healthcare, banking, and life. Getting this wrong is expensive. Getting it right changes your life. Book a consultation with us, and we'll evaluate your specific situation, your goals, your constraints, and map out the Panama strategy that actually works for you. Or, if Panama isn't right, we'll tell you what is. That's what we do. And check out our document hygiene playlist. It covers how to prepare the apostilles, the background checks, the translations, and the certifications you'll need for any international residency application. Start that process now because these documents have expiration dates and lead times. You don't want to be waiting on an FBI background check while you have an application window that is open. And subscribe for weekly intelligence on the best residency and citizenship programs worldwide. Things are changing fast going into 2026. Programs are tightening, new opportunities are opening, and others are disappearing. You need current information to make smart decisions about your international mobility. Remember, the right information makes it all possible. I'm Brad with Evolution Expats, and I'll see you in our next video.